Welcome back to our channel History Coins HD. As you that old is gold, but these rare Lincoln wheat penny coin that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. We're talking about one of the most intriguing pieces of American numismatic history, the Lincoln wheat penny from the year 1941, minted in Denver. That little D mark beneath the date might be small, but the stories and potential value behind this coin are anything but. So grab your magnifying glass, sit back, and join us on a journey into the world of rare American coins, the secrets they carry, and just how much this tiny treasure could be worth today. Let's go back to the early 1940s. America was on the brink of entering World War II, and the nation was experiencing enormous political and social changes. In the midst of all this, the United States Mint continued to produce the coins that kept daily life moving. Copper pennies bearing the image of President Abraham Lincoln. The Lincoln wheat penny had already been circulating since 1909, designed to honor the centennial of Lincoln's birth. But in 1941, something interesting happened. Over 200 million of these pennies were minted that year, with the Denver Mint striking a large portion of them. So, you might ask, if there were so many made, why is this coin rare? That's the twist in our story. While the 1941 D penny itself isn't particularly rare in terms of mintage numbers, the key lies in the condition, the strike, and, in some cases, minting errors. Most of these coins were used for everyday purchases: candy, soda, newspapers, and over the years, they've been worn down, lost, or corroded. So finding one today in pristine, uncirculated condition is like discovering a time capsule from the 1940s. Let's talk about the design for a moment. On the front, or obverse, we have the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln, facing right, a symbol of resilience and unity in American history. The word liberty appears to the left, with the date 1941 and the small but important D mint mark to the right. On the back of the coin, the classic wheat ears flank the words 1 cent, with United States of America boldly in the center and the Latin motto E pluribus unum above, out of many, one. It's a design that speaks to a different time, a design that collectors adore for both its simplicity and historical importance. But beyond the design lies the real mystery. Why are certain 1941 D pennies far more valuable than others? You see, not all coins are created equal. When a coin is minted, the level of detail, the sharpness of the image, and the condition of the die all matter. Some 1941 D pennies were struck with such precision and survived in such immaculate condition that they become prize pieces for collectors. And then, there are the errors. Double dies, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, tiny mistakes made during the minting process that turn a common penny into a one-of-a-kind collectible. These errors, when authenticated and graded by reputable services like PCGS or NGC, can push the value of a penny to unbelievable heights. But even without an error, a 1941 D Lincoln wheat penny in flawless, mint state condition, particularly with a high grade like MS67 or better, is incredibly hard to find. And when one does appear on the market, collectors are ready to pay top dollar for a chance to own it. Now here comes the part you've been waiting for. Believe it or not, one such 1941 D Lincoln wheat penny, graded in stunning condition, preserved like the day it was minted, has been valued at $135,000. Yes, you heard that right. One small copper coin, originally worth just a single cent, now valued at $135,000. That's the kind of treasure hiding in plain sight. It could be sitting in a forgotten coin jar, passed down in a family collection, or nestled inside an old wallet that hasn't seen the light of day in decades. So, if you have any Lincoln wheat pennies lying around, especially from the year 1941 with that little D mint mark, take a closer look. Check the condition. Look for sharp details and minimal wear. If you think you've got something special, have it appraised or graded. Because you just might be holding a penny worth more than a brand new car or even a down payment on a house. Thanks for joining us on this incredible coin journey. If you're as fascinated by rare coins as we are, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss a hidden treasure. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and who knows, maybe your next penny will be worth $135,000. Top 2. We're talking about a simple, everyday penny that might just blow your mind. Imagine this: you're digging through an old coin jar, or maybe sorting through a collection that's been passed down through generations. You see a penny. It's dated 1945. You pause, think nothing of it, and toss it aside. But what if I told you that same penny could secretly be worth a small fortune? Yes, Today we're uncovering the fascinating story behind the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny. A coin that most people overlook. A coin that most believe is worthless. But under the right conditions, it can be one of the most valuable pennies ever minted. Let's rewind to the year 1945. World War II had just ended. America was celebrating victory and welcoming its soldiers home. Rationing was ending, industries were booming, and the country was on the verge of a new era. But even during those dramatic times, life still went on. People still used coins for candy, newspapers, bus fare, and soda. And among those coins? The 1945 Lincoln wheat penny. This penny might seem small, but it carries with it the weight of history. It's a window into post-war America. It represents a nation in transition, from wartime to peacetime, from sacrifice to hope. And now, let's talk design. The 1945 penny features the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln on the front, one of the most iconic and respected presidents in U.S. history. This image has appeared on the penny since 1909, making it the longest-running coin design in U.S. history. To the left of Lincoln's profile, you'll see the word Liberty. To the right, the year 1945. Above his head, In God We Trust. Flip the coin over and you're greeted by two simple yet powerful words, 1 cent, framed by two wheat stalks arching from either side. That's why it's called a wheat penny. And above those words is the national motto, E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. A powerful phrase for a country that had just emerged from one of the most unifying wars in history. The United States Mint produced hundreds of millions of these pennies in 1945, so at first glance, it might not seem rare at all. But here's where things get interesting. Most 1945 wheat pennies are worth just a few cents, maybe $1 or $2 if they're in decent condition. But some very few are worth thousands. Why? It all comes down to condition, rarity, and sometimes unusual errors. Let's start with condition. Coin collectors, also known as numismatists, grade coins on a scale from poor to mint state. The higher the grade, the more perfect the coin. A 1945 penny in mint state condition, meaning it looks almost exactly as it did the day it was made, can be worth much more than your average penny. But even among mint state coins, some are better than others. Then, there are error coins. These are the real treasures. A 1945 penny that was struck with a misaligned die, or one with a double image, or a coin struck on the wrong metal planchet, those are what collectors dream about. They are rare. They are fascinating. And they are incredibly valuable. Some 1945 pennies were mistakenly struck on steel planchets left over from 1943, when pennies were made from steel coated in zinc due to copper shortages during the war. These rare 1945 steel cents are almost mythical, extremely hard to find, but documented to exist. And when they surface, collectors go wild. Imagine finding a coin that's been sitting in a box for decades, never knowing that it was one of only a few ever made like that. Imagine realizing that this little copper or steel disc could change your life. Now, most of us have seen a 1945 penny at some point. Maybe we've even tossed it aside without a second thought. But the difference between a common coin and a once-in-a-lifetime discovery is all in the details. Look closely. Check the luster, the detail in Lincoln's coat, the clarity of the lettering, the edges of the coin. If the coin is sharp, clean, and free from scratches or wear, especially if it's been graded professionally, it could be a top-tier collector's item. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. There is one particular 1945 Lincoln wheat penny, in an extremely rare and flawless condition, with the perfect minting quality, preserved like it was never touched by time. This very coin has been valued at $130,000. Yes, you heard that right, $130,000. For a penny. That's why this hobby is so exciting. It's not just about collecting, it's about the thrill of discovery, the stories behind the coins, and the chance to find something extraordinary in the most unexpected places. So the next time you come across an old penny, take a closer look. Don't rush to spend it or toss it in a jar. That little coin in your hand might just be hiding a value far beyond its face. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into coin history. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Who knows? The next coin we talk about could be hiding in your own pocket. Until next time, keep hunting, keep dreaming, and keep looking for treasure, because sometimes, the smallest things hold the greatest value. Top 3. We're talking about a coin that's barely larger than your thumbnail, but could be worth more than some luxury cars. Yes, you heard that right. We're diving deep into the fascinating story of the 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny. A coin so common that millions of Americans have probably seen one in their lifetime, and yet, one particular version of it has skyrocketed in value, becoming a prized possession for collectors across the globe. So, how did an ordinary penny from the 1950s become one of the most talked about coins in modern collecting history? Stick with us, because this story is about to take a surprising turn. Let's set the stage. It's 1950. The war is over, the baby boom has begun, and the American economy is booming. Diners, drive-in theaters, jukeboxes, and Coca-Cola are part of everyday life. Elvis Presley is still just a kid, and color TV is only starting to enter homes. Amidst all this cultural and economic change, the United States Mint is hard at work producing coins to keep up with a bustling nation. Among the coins minted that year is the humble 1-cent piece, the Lincoln Wheat penny. And at the Denver Mint, millions of these were struck, each with the small but significant D mint mark just below the date. Now, most people don't give a second thought to a penny. It's something you find under couch cushions or in your car's cup holder. But the Lincoln Wheat penny isn't just any coin. First introduced in 1909 to celebrate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, it was the first American coin to feature a real historical figure. And from the moment it entered circulation, it became a piece of everyday history. On the obverse, or front side, we see Lincoln's dignified profile, facing right, with the word Liberty to the left and the date 1950 to the right, accompanied by that small but powerful D. Above his head, the words "In God We Trust," a timeless phrase that has appeared on U.S. coins for generations. Flip the coin over and you're greeted with the classic reverse design, two sheaves of wheat arching around the words 1 cent and United States of America. And right above that? E pluribus unum, a Latin phrase meaning out of many, one. A perfect motto for a post-war America coming together and charging into the future. But here's where it gets interesting. While the 1950 D penny isn't rare in terms of how many were made, over 334 million, to be exact, it's what happened to some of them that makes all the difference. You see, most of these coins were used immediately for everyday purchases: soda, bus rides, candy bars, and over time, they wore down, got scratched, or were lost. But a tiny handful? They escaped circulation entirely. These coins were stored away, untouched, in mint condition. And some of them? They were struck with such perfect precision that they became objects of obsession for collectors. Now let's talk about what makes a coin valuable. First, there's condition. The cleaner, shinier, and more detailed the coin, the more valuable it becomes. If your 1950 D penny has no scratches, no discoloration, and full details visible, even the lines in Lincoln's coat, then you're holding something special. Then, there's rarity and grade. Even though millions were made, very few have survived in top-tier grades. Coins that are officially graded mint state 67 or higher are extremely hard to find. These are the coins that have been stored so carefully over decades that they still look brand new, but we're not done yet. There's a third factor that can make your penny a real jackpot: minting errors. A 1950 D penny with a double die, a repunched mint mark, or struck slightly off-center can become a holy grail for collectors. Error coins are one of a kind or very limited in number, and that uniqueness drives their value through the roof. So what happens when all these qualities come together? When a 1950 D penny is not only rare and beautifully preserved, but also carries a unique flaw or feature that sets it apart from every other coin in its class, that's where we reach the peak of this story. Because one such coin, a 1950 D Lincoln Wheat penny, perfectly preserved, carefully graded, and considered one of the finest known examples of its kind, has been valued at a staggering $125,000. Yes. A single copper penny. 1 cent valued at $125,000. It's the kind of discovery that makes you want to grab a flashlight and a magnifying glass and start digging through every old jar of coins you can find. It makes you wonder what else might be sitting unnoticed in a drawer, a shoebox, or a relative's coin collection. So if you come across a 1950 D wheat penny, don't rush to spend it. Hold it to the light. Check the condition. Look for doubling, repunched marks, or anything unusual. And if it looks nearly flawless, it's time to get it professionally graded. Because you could be sitting on one of the most valuable pennies in American history. Top 4. We're talking about a simple penny. But not just any penny. This one was minted in 1953, bears a little D under the date, and could be worth far more than you ever imagined. That's right. Today, we're taking a closer look at one of America's most overlooked treasures, the 1953 D Lincoln Wheat Penny. You may think it's just another piece of copper, but stay with me. By the end of this video, you'll see how one of these seemingly ordinary coins has become one of the most prized pennies ever discovered. Let's begin by stepping back in time. It's 1953. Dwight D. Eisenhower has just been sworn in as President of the United States. The Korean War is coming to a close. Gasoline costs around 20 cents per gallon. Families gather around black and white televisions, and Elvis Presley hasn't even made his first record yet. The country is in a post-war boom, full of optimism and innovation. Amid all of this, the Denver Mint is hard at work producing the coins that will keep the American economy flowing. Nickels, dimes, quarters, and of course, pennies. Among the millions of coins struck that year is our star, the 1953 D Lincoln Wheat Penny. And now, you might be wondering, how can something so common turn out to be so valuable? It all comes down to three things: history, condition, and rarity. Let's start with the design. The obverse side of the coin features a bold portrait of Abraham Lincoln, facing right. This design was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of his birth and has become one of the most iconic images in American coinage. To Lincoln's left is the word liberty. To the right, the year 1953, and just below it, a tiny D indicating that the coin was minted in Denver. Turn the coin over, and you're greeted with the timeless design of the wheat reverse. Two wheat stalks frame the words 1 cent and United States of America. At the top, the Latin phrase e pluribus unum, out of many, one. This reverse design was used from 1909 to 1958 and has become a symbol of classic American coinage. Now, here's where things start to get interesting. Over 250 million 1953 D pennies were minted, which means they were never intended to be rare. They were workhorses of everyday commerce, used to buy bubblegum, newspapers, and jukebox songs. Most of these pennies were passed from hand to hand, worn down, damaged, or lost over time, but a small fraction of these coins never made it into circulation. They were kept in rolls, tucked away in drawers, or preserved in collections, completely untouched by time. These uncirculated coins, especially those in pristine condition, are now becoming incredibly hard to find. And then, there are the errors. Every so often, a coin is minted with a mistake. A slight double image, an off-center strike, a repunched mint mark, tiny imperfections that actually make the coin more valuable. Collectors go absolutely wild for these types of errors, especially when they're on a coin that's already rare in high grades. For the 1953 D Lincoln Wheat Penny, some known varieties include die cracks, doubling on the date or lettering, and even misaligned strikes. When a coin has one of these rare flaws and is also in near-perfect condition, that's when its value skyrockets. Let's talk about grading for a moment. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. The higher the grade, the more perfect the coin. A grade of 60 or above is considered mint state. But when a 1953 D penny is graded mint state 67 or higher, nearly flawless with sharp detail, full luster, and no visible wear, it becomes a true gem. These coins are extremely difficult to find. Out of the millions produced, only a tiny handful have survived in such outstanding condition. And when collectors compete to own one of these top-tier specimens, the price can climb to jaw-dropping levels. Now let's add one more layer. Some of these pennies were struck with such incredible sharpness and clarity that they are classified as full red, meaning the original reddish-orange color of the copper has remained perfectly preserved for decades. Combine that with a mint error, and you're looking at a collector's dream. So, what does all of this mean for you? It means that the next time you come across a 1953 D penny, whether in an old coin roll, your grandparents' collection, or even change from a garage sale, you need to pause and take a closer look. That tiny coin could be hiding an incredible secret. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. There is one known 1953 D Lincoln Wheat Penny, preserved in extraordinary condition, graded to near perfection, and verified by experts as one of the best in existence. That single penny has been valued at an astonishing $120,000. That's right, 0.1 penny. 1 cent valued at $120,000. Who would have thought that a coin you can still find in circulation could be worth more than a luxury sports car, more than a college education, or even more than some homes? That's the magic of coin collecting. It's not just about money, it's about discovery. It's about holding a piece of history in your hand. It's about the thrill of finding something that everyone else overlooked. So if you've got a jar of coins at home, now's the time to dig in. Look for that 1953 Lincoln wheat penny. Check its condition. Look for errors. You never know, you could be sitting on one of the rarest, most valuable coins ever made. Top 5. We're talking about a small copper coin from 1957 that looks ordinary on the outside, but under the right circumstances, can be worth an incredible amount of money. So grab your coffee, sit back, and let's take a deep dive into the history, mystery, and shocking value of the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny, one of the last of its kind and one of the most surprising finds in the world of American coins. Let's go back to 1957. The United States is thriving in the heart of the post-war boom. Elvis Presley is on the radio. Families are buying their first color televisions. Dwight D. Eisenhower is in the White House. And across the country, Americans are carrying pennies in their pockets, never realizing that one day, some of these would become priceless collector's items. Among the coins in circulation that year was the Lincoln wheat penny, named for the iconic wheat stalks on the reverse side. These coins had already been around for decades, ever since their debut in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. They were the first U.S. coins to feature a real historical figure, and since then, they'd become an everyday staple in American life. The 1957 wheat penny features the classic portrait of President Lincoln on the obverse side, designed by Victor David Brenner. To the left of Lincoln's profile is the word Liberty. To the right, you'll find the date 1957. Many of these pennies also carry a small d below the date, indicating they were minted in Denver. Others were minted in Philadelphia and bear no mint mark at all. On the reverse, you'll see the familiar pair of wheat ears curving around the words 1 cent and United States of America, with the national motto E pluribus unum resting at the top. It's a clean, symmetrical design that collectors around the world have come to love. Now here's the part most people don't realize: although over a billion 1957 Lincoln wheat pennies were produced, not all of them are created equal. Most of these coins were used in daily life, handled by thousands of people, tossed into pockets, jingling in piggy banks, or left to rust in drawers. That's why, today, finding a 1957 penny in truly pristine condition is much harder than you might think. Collectors search far and wide for these coins in what's known as mint state condition, meaning the coin was never circulated and has been perfectly preserved since the day it was minted. These coins show no signs of wear. The fine details on Lincoln's face are crisp. The lines in his coat are sharp. The edges are clean, and the color of the copper still glows with its original reddish brilliance. But even among mint state coins, there are levels. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A penny graded at 70 is considered perfect, something rarely seen even by experienced collectors. If you happen to find a 1957 Lincoln penny graded in the high 60s, especially with a rich, red tone and no flaws, you've got something truly valuable on your hands. And then come the error coins. These are the real head-turners in the collecting world. During the minting process, things sometimes go wrong. A coin might be struck off-center. It might show doubling in the date or lettering. The die might crack or chip. These imperfections, which were once seen as mistakes, are now considered ultra-rare and incredibly collectible. Some 1957 pennies have been discovered with repunched mint marks, where the D was struck more than once in slightly different positions. Others have doubled dies, where parts of the design appear twice, slightly offset. Each of these errors makes the coin unique and can raise its value significantly. So now you're probably wondering, how much can a penny like this be worth? Well, the truth is, most 1957 wheat pennies are still only worth a few cents, especially if they've been heavily circulated. But if you happen to find one in flawless, mint condition, and especially if it has a rare error or variant, you're suddenly dealing with a completely different level of value. Coin collectors from around the world compete for the best examples, and auction houses have witnessed some mind-blowing sales for coins that would otherwise seem insignificant. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. There is one known 1957 Lincoln wheat penny, perfectly preserved, authenticated at one of the highest mint state grades, and considered one of the finest examples of its kind, that has been valued at an incredible $117,000. Yes. That's right. A single penny, worth $117,000. It's hard to believe that something so small, something that may have passed through your hands or your family's pockets over the years, could be worth more than a luxury car, or even more than a college education. But that's the magic of coin collecting. It's not just about old money, it's about history, rarity, preservation, and the thrill of discovering something everyone else overlooked. So the next time you're going through an old jar of coins or checking your change after a grocery run, keep your eyes open. Look for that 1957 wheat penny. Check its condition. Look for oddities, errors, or unusual shine. Because you never know, that 1 cent could turn out to be worth a life-changing sum. Thanks for watching and being part of this journey into one of America's most fascinating collectible coins. If you loved this video and want to learn more about rare finds hiding in everyday places, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future discoveries. Until next time, keep your eyes sharp, your curiosity alive, and remember, even a penny can carry a story and sometimes a fortune.